We had ended up driving 40 minutes away from Dallas and then back up through the city to get out. So that added a good chunk of time to our travels. I will say though, one good thing about Texas is their road and highway infrastructure. It's just so efficient. Eventually we made it out of the city and into the countryside, which is most of our trip, honestly. Through the rolling plains, the further east that you go, the more trees there are and the taller they get, which is something I always love to keep track of on road trips to Florida. Eventually we made it to the Arkansas-Texarkana border. I always thought it was interesting saying Texarkana. It's a very tingly word. As the sun set, it was my time to drive, and that is where we will leave off for our first leg of the road trip. Something that's crazy to think about is that this was a day after Christmas, and it definitely did not feel like that. We had decided though to drive a little bit through Tennessee. The mountains and clouds and fog helped to soothe the overall emptiness of the circumstance. The added scenery of our detour definitely was a little treat to ourselves. Soon enough, we were in our destination state, but we had gotten a little bit lost in Atlanta, passing by rundown neighborhoods and the Six Flags Park before getting to the main city. It was quite late when we got in, but no one was home for the next week, so it was okay. We were promptly greeted by their cat, Pepper. Right away, we got to making a scrumptious cottage pie for dinner. This was one of my first, home-cooked meal in a couple weeks, so it was definitely welcomed. My sister's friend sister distracted Pepper. Inside, I took a moment to just chill out. Just like that, we were on our way. We passed by the town of Dog and watched as the weather grew behind us. Our first stop of this adventure would be in St. Augustine, but we had a day drive just to get out of Georgia. We partook in some classic road trip music while chugging through the miles. Eventually, we returned to our home state. You could tell just by all of the colorful houses and the seagulls. We stopped at a shop called Sand Dollar off the Jacksonville beach and got dinner before making our last stretch to St. Augustine. There was a lot of commotion on the waterway while we waited for our food. The food was phenomenal. We had gotten the pecan crusted